Thank you, everybody. It is my great privilege to be here with you today. I brought my children, Declan and Rian. Well, thank you for that. They'll be grateful for that. But I brought them to bring home for them that the fight in Ukraine is it's not only about the right of children in Ukraine to live without fear of attack, to live with the knowledge that they can shape their own futures, to live knowing they can be warm in winter again in the future. It is not only for the children of Ukraine that the Ukrainian people are fighting, but they are fighting for free children and their rights and their safety and their dignity everywhere. So thank you, Ukraine. Thank you. I want to just underscore the comments that were made, the praise that was given to your ambassador here in the United States. Ambassador Markarova is special. She is relentless. She is unbelievably effective at bringing home the human and the strategic stakes of this conflict. And we are all so incredibly fortunate that she is representing Ukraine at this time. Thank you, Ambassador. When Vladimir Putin launched his full-scale invasion a year ago, he thought that Ukraine's resistance would crumble, that he could claim a sovereign nation as part of his own, that he had started a fight that he would quickly win. But today it is Ukraine who is winning. By resisting Putin's onslaught, by showing authoritarians that democracy still stands, by remaining strong, resilient, proud, and free. These victories belong to the Ukrainian people, who persist, but it cannot go without mention, who persist at unbearable cost, heartbreaking cost. To the engineers creating portable stoves to help the army stay warm, thank you. To the doctors leaving their day jobs to train troops in combat medicine, thank you. To the teachers in the classrooms and in the trenches, thank you. To the farmers on the front lines and those who continue to harvest their crops to feed not only Ukraine but the world, thank you. And to the ordinary Ukrainians risking their lives for their country's survival, independence, and democratic future, thank you. To the Ukrainian people, I echo President Biden when I say the United States is behind you for as long as it takes. For as long as it takes. As Putin wages his brutal assaults, the United States has helped Ukrainian forces defend their country. As Putin's forces attack critical infrastructure, subjecting the Ukrainian people to weather far colder than this, on purpose. As he does that, the United States has helped Ukraine keep the lights on, keep the heat running, keep the clean water flowing. As Putin's forces attempt to destroy Ukraine's economy, we have helped Ukrainian businesses get the resources they need to reopen their doors, to relocate in some cases, to get as many Ukrainians as possible back to work. And as Putin tries to bully other nations into supporting his brutal aggression, President Biden has rallied democracies around the world to stand up for Ukraine and to stand with Ukraine. Today, Ukraine is winning, and its victories stretch far beyond the battlefield. Putin tried to force Ukraine to submit to his will, to cede the right to decide its own future. But Putin so underestimated the will and the dignity of the Ukrainian people. He underestimated the power of their dreams, of your dreams, of a future where Ukraine is stronger, more prosperous, more democratic than before. Today, Ukrainians are doing more than just dreaming of that future. Even as the bombs rain down, as the missiles rain down, Ukrainians are working right now to build that future. The United States will continue to be a partner not only in Ukraine's defense, not only in the war to defeat Putin and his forces, but in the fight to strengthen Ukraine's democracy and its economy. We will provide the seeds and supplies to the farmers who are out there sidestepping unexploded landmines to plant next year's crops right now. We will help bring international businesses back to Ukraine to help build a resilient economy and put Ukrainians back to work. And we will continue to fund watchdog organizations and independent media that will help root out corruption and keep the government accountable to its people. So today, as I stand before this enduring symbol of democracy in front of a crowd committed to fighting for the democratic rights of all people, I say once again to Ukraine, you are winning. Winning back not only your territory, but your fundamental right to chart your own destiny. And winning the fight on behalf of democracies everywhere to protect sovereignty, independence, freedom, the rule of law, and dignity, which is so at the core of the Maidan revolution and so at the core of the fight today. Every day this war goes on is a day too long, and we can never lose sight of the human cost of what Putin has done. But we know that you will prevail, and the United States stands with you for as long as it takes. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador Power, for your important work to support Ukraine in these tragic for Ukraine times. We would like to invite Karen Donfried, the Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs. Prior to her current position, she served as President of the German Marshall Fund of the United States from April 2014 to September 2021. We are grateful to Dr. Donfried for her work on behalf of Ukraine, dealing with some of the most crucial and delicate negotiations required to create and maintain this international coalition in support of Ukraine's survival. Thank you, Dr. Donfried, for embodying America's unwavering connection with Ukraine. Thank you for the work you do in binding the nations of the free world together in alliance against tyranny. This is the very work that will decide what kind of a world our children will get to live in, both in Ukraine and here in America. Dr. Donfried, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am so honored to be on this stage with Oksana Makarova and Samantha Power. Please join me in thanking them again for their remarkable leadership and principled integrity. It is inspiring to see so many people all around us here in support of Ukraine. a sea of blue and yellow, the colors of a free, democratic Ukraine. We are here to mark a somber occasion, the one-year anniversary of Russia's brutal war against Ukraine. A war that was not provoked, a war that resulted from the decision of one man, Vladimir Putin, who wanted to erase Ukraine from the map. But Vladimir Putin has learned a few things over the past year. For one, never underestimate Ukrainians. When President Biden was in Warsaw earlier this week, he said, "1 year ago, the world was bracing for the fall of Kyiv. Well, I have just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report Kyiv stands strong, Kyiv stands proud, it stands tall, and most important, it stands free." Ukrainians have defended their country with remarkable bravery and resolute resilience. When Russia began its barrage of Ukraine's critical civilian infrastructure this fall, including energy infrastructure, it sought to weaponize winter. It sought to plunge a nation of 40 million people into darkness and cold as winter approached. But Ukrainians did not flinch. Another thing Putin has learned is that the United States and a global coalition of countries that believe in Ukraine and believe in, just a sec, and believe in the principles codified in the United Nations Charter, respect for sovereignty, respect for territorial integrity. Might does not make right. Those countries joined hands with Ukraine, and we together have given Ukraine unprecedented support over the past year to help Ukraine defend itself. On Thursday, the United Nations General Assembly called for ending the war in Ukraine and demanded Russia's immediate, complete, and unconditional withdrawal of all of its military forces from the territory of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. 141 member states voted in favor and 7 voted against. Those 7 were Belarus, North Korea, Eritrea, Mali, Nicaragua, Russia, and Syria. That tally speaks volumes. Putin has sought to splinter our global coalition. He has failed. We are stronger precisely because we stand united with so many others who want to live in a world where the principles enshrined in the UN Charter are respected, not shredded. The UN Charter begins with these words: "We, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war." There is one man who can end the war in Ukraine tomorrow, and that man is Vladimir Putin. If Russia stops fighting, the war ends. If Ukraine stops fighting, Ukraine ends. We will ensure that Ukraine prevails. We will also hold Russia accountable for the egregious crimes its forces have committed against civilians in Ukraine: rape, murder, torture, deportation of Ukrainian civilians, including children, forcibly separated from their families. As Secretary Blinken has said, wherever the Russian tide recedes, we discover the horror that is left in its wake. Think Bucha, think Izium, where mass graves were discovered. This is why the United States determined that Russia has committed crimes against humanity and has pledged to hold those involved to account. No one wants this war to end more than Ukrainians. They are the ones dying. They are the ones living the horror of war. But it can't be any peace. The nature of that peace matters. It must be a just and a durable peace. A just peace means that Ukraine's territorial integrity must be restored. A durable peace means that Russia cannot simply rest and refit and then relaunch its war in months or years. So many of you here today have made your own important contributions to supporting Ukraine. Some of you are supplying critical medical supplies. Others are lifting up voices from Ukraine to ensure Americans hear those voices and understand the reality. Together, we are making a difference for Ukraine. Together, we are stronger, and we are making Ukraine stronger. To our friends in Ukraine, thank you. Thank you for inspiring us every single day as you stand up to Russia's brutal aggression. The price you are paying is heartbreaking. But know that we will stand with you for as long as it takes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assistant Secretary, for your wonderful speech. We're so honored to have you stand with us today. Our next speaker, Mrs. Kimberly Bassett, was appointed to her position as Secretary of State for the District of Columbia in December 2018. Prior to her role, Kimberly Bassett was the former director of the Mayor's Office on Women's Policy and Initiatives. A dedicated public servant, an ardent supporter of Ukraine and its efforts for freedom, please join me in welcoming the district's own Secretary of State, Kimberly Bassett.
Hello, good afternoon, Your Excellency Marakova, distinguished guest. Good afternoon, my name is Kimberly Bassett, as she said, Secretary of State for Washington, D.C., and it's my privilege to be with you today at the Lincoln Memorial, a monument honoring one of our nation's most revered champions of democracy and freedom. I'm also reminded today of another American hero, the great Frederick Douglass, who escaped slavery only to devote his life to abolishing slavery, to winning freedom and democracy from all. Frederick Douglass strongly believed that democracy lifts the human spirit. And on this first anniversary of the brutal invasion of Ukraine, each of us must pledge to do everything possible to uphold the fundamental principle of human rights and democracy that lift us up and bind us together. Since the invasion began, residents of Washington, D.C. have opened their homes, provided jobs, raised money, and proudly flown the Ukrainian flag in solidarity and support of our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. And we will continue to support you for as long as it takes. Yes. Last night, Washington, D.C.'s bridge, named for Frederick Douglass, was brightly lit in the colors of blue and yellow for the Ukrainian flag as a symbol of peace, Ukraine, and Ukrainian standing strong, and they will continue to stand strong until victory is won. Yes.
Hey, man. Could I interview you? Thank you. So I'm with Reuters. We're like a news agency. And I don't know if you heard, but Biden's not going to provide fighter jets, but everything else that was asked for, just not fighter jets. What do you think? Is that cutting it too close to the line, or do you think more support should be given than what's being given, or are you satisfied?
Well, first of all, Ukraine is extremely grateful to the United States for all the support that the U.S. is giving. It's essential, it is so important these days, and Ukraine is appreciating this a lot, and we thank the American people for that. In my personal opinion, I would be glad if the U.S. provides all the support that Ukraine is asking for. Because the more support the U.S. is given, the sooner Ukraine will win, the sooner the war will be over. But I mean, we cannot complain. I'm still very extremely grateful for that. But we wish for more, and we need more weapons, more tanks, fighter jets, HIMARS systems.
I was here a year ago. I remember, or a little less than a year, because it was a little bit after the war started that the first protest was here. I was here for that, and it seems like there's been no loss of resolve. It seems like it was actually more resolve to stay the course. How do you feel like things are going? Or you think things will go well, or?
A year ago, I also was here, and I can say that I felt desperate.
We'll wait for the plane. The plane caused my microphone to be too loud. So tell me, you were here a year ago, and
so I was here a year ago. Well, not exactly here at the White House in August, and we're over there by. I think that people were desperate and shocked and baffled. And this year it's different. This year we have hope, and we are certain that Ukraine will win, because we can see that Ukraine is winning already with the use of all the support from the US and Europe. And whatever Russia is doing, it's not working. And so today we are standing here with hope and some certainty that things are going well. I cannot say that things are going well, because people are still dying, but we fight for the right cause.
Sorry, there's another plane going by. I'm just going to check my focus. Okay, cool. I notice you've got eyeshadow that's the color of the flag, so you've really gone full tilt. You're fully committed. How's it feel to get together with your fellow expatriates and hang together and sing the anthem together and have songs, and is this helping to get through it, or?
So the answer is now going to be tricky, because I myself am not Ukrainian. I am from Russia originally, and there are a lot of people from Russia too who support Ukraine. I mean, any sane person would support Ukraine these days. And I know a lot of people from Ukraine, and what I noticed is that during the last year, we have never been so united. And I can see that my Ukrainian friends, they switch to Ukrainian language, they speak Ukrainian. I also try to learn it, I understand it well now. And gatherings like this are extremely important to feel united, to feel that you belong to something bigger, to know that you're not alone. And yes, it helps a lot to go through these days and to cope.
How would you feel if you're back in Russia? Would that put you? Would you feel like? Do you think the average Russian might feel the same way you do about Ukraine? because I lived in Ukraine, in Moscow for a while, and I used to love all the Ukrainian dances at all the events and stuff. I mean, everybody was pretty unified back in 1991. There was no separate, it was just the wall had fallen and everything was kind of like unified for a short while. So, how do you think anybody that you have back home would be feeling right now? How are they in conflict?
Well, the propaganda in Russia is strong. It works. I don't know the real picture. I only know about my friends and my family, but I understand that this is a bubble that I live into. All my friends support Ukraine and my family supports Ukraine too, so we are all on the same page. We think the same and feel the same. But, for example, I know people from my school, from my university, who went completely nuts. And the sociologists, they conduct some surveys, but the picture that they provide is never real, because many people are afraid to answer honestly. And as much as I remember, like 9 out of 10 people just refuse to answer. So, but I cannot say how many people, how big the proportion of the Russia's action supporters is. It may be 50%, maybe 60, maybe 70, I don't know. But sadly, I think it's more than half, because it varies from I don't care up to let's kill them all. And it is scary.
Based on the propaganda. Thanks for talking to me. Can we get your name, please?
My name is Olga Petrova.
Can you spell it for us?
Olga.
Yep.
And the last name is P like Pennsylvania, Etrova.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you talking to me. Yeah, I lived in Moscow in 1991, 92, 93, right after the coup. And yeah, this was inconceivable. Back then, it was it'd be like there was too much to be gained by everybody cooperating back then. Thank you for talking to me. Pleasure. Thank you.
I saw one lady who was in Ukraine during the first day of invasion, 24th.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in interviewing someone?
Yeah, sure. Is that person here?
Yeah, I can just call her. She's around.
Yeah, I'm just going to be shooting at these steps here. Cool. Thanks.
She doesn't have like a story like she was going through like challenge, but she at least was on the first day of invasion, so maybe like that would be something. I'm gonna call her again. Можете підійти для інтерв'ю на початок купення, тобто наверху, там де натовпу, наверху, не в самому наверху, але перед сходами, перед самим.
Thank you.
Я просто хочу біля репортера. Через те не втратити. Добре, дякую.
Hey Don, sorry. Yeah, I didn't know if I just had to pull out of that spot. My head was getting blasted by the speakers. So I just did a couple of vox pops. Is that okay? Or okay, cool. And I'm not on RLS still, right? Okay, cool. All right, I'll keep working. And you sound bites are okay to get? Okay, cool. Okay, I'll keep giving you some shots. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Bien. You got it. Bien. So, over by the White House, circle. So it's from the Hayek part, like people up there, like so they're gonna march there. I guess.
When's the march? Do you know?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah. 4?
Told me.
Yeah. It said 4:30 on the website.
Maybe 4:30.
Yeah, hopefully they have it like right now.
Like a car? Yeah. I got it in my
Go the
truck.
whole way.
It's a USB-C. Like you charge it
Yeah,
like a
he's
jumper.
there. I would go there because my car is near.
Well, I'm over here. Like, I mean, that's what it is. It's not. I can like.
She's coming.
Oh, she's coming? Okay, cool. Sure. I'll hang tight. I'll be right here. I just have to shoot something. So. Pray for you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hi. Who is it? Hi. Hello, greetings.
You know, I was in Ukraine during the first day of full-scale invasion on the 24th of February last year.
Okay.
So
So
Actually, not because of the wind, not because of that, though.
that's okay.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have contact lenses. It does the same thing to me. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. So I'm with Reuters. We'll just do a quick interview. Just let me check some technical things, and then we'll be okay. Okay, looking good. Okay, cool. And can you count to 10 for me, please?
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. That's great. Okay, so tell me. So you're unique in this situation because you were there
Yes.
in the very beginning. Tell me, can you paint for me since I wasn't there? What was it like? What would I have experienced if I were there?
So we lived a little bit on the suburb of Kiev, which is a little bit by the forest, and it is a quiet area, a residential area. But we woke up. I think it was around 5 a.m. and there were explosions far away, and my aunt was like, "Julia, the war has started." And it was a big shocker. We didn't know what to do. We didn't decide to flee the country or anything. We decided to stay in the moment. And I remember that for a couple days I was really paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. We were following the news. We were staying in the apartment. We were afraid to come out. And so a little prehistory. My boss from Ukraine, she was calling me and asking me, "Hey Julia, in case if war starts, what would you do? Do you have a plan?" And I asked my relatives, would we go to Poland if the war started? And they were like, "Yes, we're gonna pack up and go to Poland." But when actually war started, they didn't want to take action. They wanted to stay in. So I was waiting for them to kind of change their mind. I didn't want to leave because I live in US. I have my husband here and my life here and work and everything. I just was lucky enough, well, not in this case, but in general, I'm lucky enough to work online and I can travel to different locations of the world. I chose to work remotely. So for 3 days, we were not doing anything. We were just freaking out and buying some supplies like groceries and things like that. So on the third day, I didn't see much in the way.
Actually, yeah, the plane is too loud from the microphone. So we'll wait 2 seconds, and then just tell me like, what was the first moment where you said, "You know what, I need to leave"?
So that was the moment when on the third day, my husband was calling me every day, and he called me and he said, "Julia, where you live, it seems quiet because nothing was happening. We just saw one tank passing by, that's it." And there was just the news. My husband was like, "Julia, I know it's very quiet where you live, but it's really bad situation. You have to pack and leave, no matter what." So that's the moment I decided to just leave. Regardless, I knew that my relatives didn't want to go, but I did ask my aunt and my sister. Was like, "Do you want to come with me?" And at that moment, thank God, my sister said yes. So we packed our things in 1 hour, and my brother, he lives half an hour away from that apartment in Irpin. He came over with a car and picked us up, and
Yep.
he dropped us at the train station.
Okay, so tell me, what this is now a year later, do you think it was going to last this long? I mean, do you think it was just going to be a few days or
At the
2 weeks?
beginning, I thought it was a matter of a couple of days. I did think it would end, and then, quite honestly, my opinion was keep changing. So I thought from half a year to a year, and then I thought maybe the war would end by the springtime of this year, and here we are, still going. And at this point, I'm done predicting, done trying to, but we're all hoping that maybe by the summer, at least the full-scale war will be over.
Yeah. So you were visiting when you were there? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. And did they come with you? Did they decide to leave with you?
So my relatives, all of them stayed besides my sister. My sister came with me. We ended up going to Poland and then to Germany.
Yeah.
She stayed in Germany for 3 months, and I came to US, and then I got her into US through United for Ukraine program. But all of other of my relatives, they're all back in Ukraine.
Do you think the U.S. is doing enough?
I think yes, but I wish they were faster in their decision making. It's just from the moment the decision is made to the moment of actual equipment to being on the ground, it takes months and months, and then the training. I wish they did a little more, but US does the most out of everybody. So,
Do you think that NATO? I mean, for the U.S. to do more on its own, it's required to step out of NATO. I mean, it kind of has to work within the framework of NATO presently. So President Biden today actually declined to, he took a pass on providing the fighter jets. So, all the other aid is still going to be provided that he announced last week. But the fighter jet issue is not, they're not going that far to provide the F-22s or whatever they are, the fighter jets. And of course, if you even provide them, it takes like a year to train someone on those. So, there's, as you said, there's a delay after a decision's made even. It's not like instantaneous results. Do you think the U.S. should step out of the NATO framework so it can do more, or which would obviously explode things, to some extent, but might possibly win the war quickly? The downside being that, suddenly two superpowers at war with each other. So, what do you think the solution is?
I don't think US should step out of NATO regardless, because they need to work together. It's just NATO countries need to step up. They need to work faster. Like, I know for a fact Germany was like, there was the story with the tanks that was against it, unless they were to the point of them being forced to agree to provide those. I think it was Jaguar. No, not. It was like a name of tanks. But
yeah, I remember those. Yeah. The Leopards are.
Leopards,
yeah.
Sorry, so Leopards. Yeah, for sure. I think it's just European Union and NATO. They all have to be a little faster and be a little more aware. I'm really surprised they're so much slower, because it's happening in front of their eyes, in their doorways. So
Yeah.
That's something I'm a little disappointed with that. Yes. But
Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah,
Could we get your name?
Yes, my name is Julia Flores.
And can you spell it first just so we get it right? Because somebody else.
Juliaflores.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there was this original Nunn-Lugar agreement back when I was in Moscow years ago, and basically the Ukraine had nuclear weapons, and they were given up. It was negotiated, and in that negotiation, the West, NATO said, "Yeah, we'll protect you." So, and maybe it's time to make good on that claim, But anyway, well, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So there's just one caveat.
Hey, how you doing there, buddy? How you doing? What's your name? Oh, what a nice one. It's like petting him is like putting on gloves. Nice and warm. Yeah, he's a nice and warm dog. Thank you.
Reverend Fathers, honored guests, dear friends of Ukraine, дорогі українці, слава Україні! If you look behind me at the iconic memorial that enshrines the 16th President of the United States, his words and his deeds are truly inspirational for the democratic world. A famous quote attributed to President Lincoln that has parallels to the war in Ukraine summarizes the current reality. And I quote, "We have, as all will agree, a free government where every man has a right to be equal with every other man. In this great struggle, this form of government and every form of human rights is endangered if our enemies succeed." End quote. But we cannot allow, and we will not allow, the enemy, Russia, the aggressor terrorist state, to succeed in Ukraine. Not now, not ever. We are thankful to President Biden for his historic trip to Ukraine earlier this week. And many congressional delegations that also have visited Ukraine. And while we are grateful, we also know that Ukraine needs more security assistance from the United States and the world to be victorious in this ultimate fight of good versus evil. We are equally and immeasurably grateful for the heroic defenders of Ukraine on the front lines of aggression on cold days, even colder days than today, defending not just Ukraine, but democracy worldwide. To these modern-day heroes of Ukraine, we say "Дякую." And lastly, to every single American and world citizen, we are grateful for your empathy, outpouring of support both financially and morally, to be with the Ukrainian nation as that country withstands a genocide of epic proportions, the likes of which have not been seen in decades. The Ukrainian nation has experienced genocide before. We have endured. We are resilient. We have overcome travesty. But justice must be applied today to stop the genocide. Russia is a terrorist state. Justice will prevail. Ukraine will be victorious. Slava Ukraini! It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce the President of the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, a representative organization of us 2 million Americans of Ukrainian descent, Mr. Andrew Futey.
For 12 months, the brave Ukrainian men and women have been standing on the front lines of democracy, defending all of Europe from Russia's advancing tyranny. The toll has been staggering for Ukraine. Thousands have been killed. Over 6.5 million have fled to the safety of other countries. 8 million are internally displaced within the borders of Ukraine. And thousands of Ukrainian children have been stolen and trafficked into Russia. Make no mistake, Russia is committing genocide brazenly in full view of the world. The aggressor's genocidal war against Ukraine has created the largest humanitarian crisis Europe has experienced since World War II. We express our profound gratitude to all those who have laid down their lives in defense of our common shared values of human rights and democracy. If we fail to adhere to our stated principles and even think about abandoning Ukraine, not only will we compromise our moral and ethical foundation, but we will fundamentally undermine the national security interests of the United States. If Ukraine is allowed to fall, Russia will not stop at Ukraine's borders, and the future course of world history will grow dark. What happens in Ukraine today determines how the coming generations will live. Whether they will live in democracies or in totalitarian states, whether their lives will be free or whether they will be in servitude. As President Biden stated, because in the moments of great upheaval and uncertainty, knowing what you stand for is most important, and knowing who stands with you makes all the difference. We stand for those principles of freedom, decency, and democracy, and have advocated that all who stand for these values stand with Ukraine. Recognizing that Ukraine is in a front line of defense, today, more than ever, we must provide Ukraine all the timely assistance it needs in her fight for freedom, including military support in the form of all possible tanks, air defense systems, and yes, fighter jets. For victory must be attained. There is no alternative. Slava Ukraini!
It is now an honor and a pleasure to introduce the President of the Ukrainian World Congress, the coordinating body of the Ukrainian diaspora, 20 million throughout the world. Please welcome Mr. Paul Grod.
Dear Ukrainians and friends of Ukraine, the number of friends of Ukraine today is in the hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people around the world. Because everybody who stands for liberty, freedom, democracy, and human rights today is a friend of Ukraine. The solemn anniversary of Russia's full-scale genocidal invasion and 9 years of war in Ukraine is important to commemorate, as it reminds us that we cannot go about our daily lives without thinking and doing something to stop the war crimes and crimes against humanity that are taking place in Ukraine every day. I am proud that we are joined together with over 300 cities in over 45 countries around the world that have joined us to unite with Ukraine and its people. I was at the United Nations earlier this week speaking at a symposium about the human rights violations being committed by Russia in occupied Ukraine today. When the witnesses told their horrifying stories of rape, torture, murder perpetrated by the Russian jailers, there was not a dry eye in the hall. But these were not isolated incidents, but rather a systemic effort by the Russian leadership to destroy the Ukrainian nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia is committing genocide in real time in Ukraine. A ceasefire and an end to the war without Ukraine liberating its people from Russia's imprisonment and torture is not an option. We must ensure victory for Ukraine before any negotiations begin. And we must win with two battles: the fight for Ukraine to liberate its territory and the fight for justice. For justice to prevail and Russia to change, we must establish an international Russian war crimes tribunal. The Ukrainian World Congress is calling upon the United Nations to establish an international Russian war crimes tribunal akin to the Nuremberg trials of World War II, to bring the Russian leadership to justice for designing, executing this plan to occupy and terminate the Ukrainian people. Ukraine deserves justice. We must impose more crippling sanctions on Russia's economy to stop their ability to finance their war and send missile strikes at Ukraine's civilian population on an almost daily basis. Russia must be isolated and punished for their murders, tortures, sexual violence, destruction, and total disregard for the rules-based international order. They must be expelled from all international organizations. Their athletes must be banned from the Olympic Games and all other international events. Their propagandists and apologists must be expelled and excluded from all international arenas. Friends and friends of Ukraine, Ukraine will be victorious. The question is when. How many lives will be lost and people's futures will be destroyed, and at what cost? We must all make a difference each and every day to stop Russia and its enablers now. Slava Ukraini! До перемоги!
Thank you so much, Pavlo, Mikhailo, and Andriy. Powerful words, together to victory. And a lot of, actually, Ukrainian women and men are fighting now for the future of Ukraine, the young generation. And it is my pleasure to introduce Taras Shevchenko School of Ukrainian Studies and the school director, Tatiana Mazur. Murza, Tatiana Murza. The school has recently celebrated its 60th anniversary. And we're very proud that the school continues to bring Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language, and teach our kids in Ukrainian heritage. Tatiana, please.
Дякую, Марина. Слава Україні! So, as Marina said, I'm the principal of the School of Ukrainian Studies of Greater Washington, D.C. area. For 60 years, we have been teaching and passing to a new generation of children Ukrainian language, culture, history, and literature. All through last year, as Russia war ravaged our beloved Ukraine, our school became one of the main gathering centers for Ukrainian families in Greater Washington, D.C. area. Many Ukrainians, particularly women with children, were forced to relocate to many countries. We readily welcomed those that came to D.C. area, provided them with the support of our community and spiritual home away from home. Today, several of our children would like to share our school spirit with you. They will recite poems by famous Ukrainian poets. The first one is by Mikhailo Ivasyuk. This poem celebrates the Ukrainian language for its strength, survival, and capacity for infinite expression. The Ukrainian language has been oppressed, persecuted, and banned by both Tsarist and Soviet governments. So, Katerina Mariot, 5 клас, вірш Михайла Івасюка.
Гей, люди, чом це наша мова? Така шляхетна і гонорова. Тремтіти має, наче сарна, як мчиться в неї ціла псарня. Та ж українська дивомова, похідний марш і колискова, і жайвір під травневим сонцем, щедрівка батька під віконцем, гірські потоки цуркотання, і соловейкове лещання, і шелест жита, і пшениці, мій ритм дощу і храмовиці. У нашій українській мові живе освічена в любові, і люта ненависть ката, погорда гнів дарена гата, поезія степів і моря, жага на світових просторів, державний гімн і спів молитви, і гук війни, і скрегіт битви. В ній доля наша, зло закута, і клич Дніпрового могутя, і духу нашого твердиня, краси скарбниця і святиня.
Дякую, Катруся. The next poem is by Vitaly Mikhalevsky. Good evening, we are from Ukraine. It's the calling card phase of Mykolaiv Governor Vitaly Kim. Mykolaiv, a southern Ukrainian port, has been subjected to intense Russian shelling again and again. We are from Ukraine is the voice of all Ukrainian cities under attack. Kyiv, Kharkiv, Chernihiv, Kherson, Mariupol, Sumy.
Всім доброго вечора. Ми з України. Ні слава, ні воля не вмерли ще ні. Ми Суми, і Харків, і острів Зміїний. Ми Київ, Чернігів, Херсон і Ірпінь. Ми є Маріуполь. Відплата вже близько. Ніколи не були братами русні. Бо нас колисали у різних колисках і різні співали весільні пісні. Ми Львів, Миколаїв, нас доля єдина, тому не жалійте ні сил, ані куль. Всім доброго вечора. Ми Україна. Усе буде добре. 4-5-0.
And our last poem by Vasyl Simonenko. The following poem by Vasyl Simonenko, an important poet from the 1960s, challenges Ukraine's enemies. You will come and fail, Simonenko writes, but my people will always prevail. Катруся Синенко, 8 клас.
Де зараз ви, кити мого народу? Де велич ваша, сила ваша де? Неясні зорі і не тихі води, вже чорна ваша злоба не впаде. Народ росте і множиться й діє, без ваших нахаїв і палаша. Під сонцем вічності древніє і молодіє, й жорстока і лахіна душа. Народ мій є, народ мій завжди буде, ніхто не перекреслить мій народ. Пощезнуть всі привертні приблуди і орди завойовників заброд. Ви, байстрюки китів осатанілих, не забувайте виродки ніде. Народ мій є, в його гарячих жилах козацька кров пульсує і худе.
Слава Україні!
Дякуємо вам.
Taras Shevchenko School of Ukrainian Studies. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Your mission is very, very important for all the Ukrainians who live in Washington, D.C. and in the U.S. Dear supporters of Ukraine, I would like to introduce Ambassador William Taylor, who is the Vice President, Europe and Russia at the U.S. Institute of Peace. In 2019, Mr. Ambassador served as charge d'affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv and as the U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine from 2006 to 2009. During the Arab Spring, he oversaw U.S. assistance and support in Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, and Syria. He served in Jerusalem as the U.S. government's representative to the Middle East Quartet. He served in Kabul in 2002 and in Baghdad in 2004. Ambassador Taylor, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming today.
So friends, thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you today. Ambassador, and my Ukrainian friends, let me just say that we've heard a lot today about how we will be with you as long as it takes. We should add to that. The Americans should add to that. We'll be with you as long as it takes for you to win. For you to win. Let me speak to my American colleagues, all the U.S. citizens here. There are things that we can do. There are things that we should do so that Ukraine will win. Let me just say 3 of them. First of all, President Zelensky and our Ukrainian friends have shown great determination and will to do things for this past year, for this past 9 years, since this invasion began in 2014. It takes will to get things done. It's almost impossible to do what the Ukrainians have done, but their will has succeeded and will succeed. We Americans need to show the same determination, the same will to get hard things done. 3 hard things that we should do: fires, reparations, and justice. Fires. Right here, there's a sign that says F-16s, ATACMS, long-range fires. Long-range fires will allow the Ukrainian military to break through Russian lines. When they do that, they will break the Russian military. They need long-range fires. We've done some of that. We need to do it longer. The longer-range fires need to come. Number 1.
Fighters for Ukraine!
Number 2, after the victory, there will be the need to reconstruct Ukraine. And who should pay for that? Russia should pay for that, absolutely. There are $300 billion of Russian funds in Western banks. Those funds have been frozen. Those funds now need to be seized and put into a fund that will pay for the reconstruction of Ukraine. That needs to happen. That can happen, but it takes will. It takes determination. It's not easy, but it can happen. $300 billion. It's probably going to take $500 billion, maybe more, to reconstruct Ukraine, but $300 billion right off the bat should come from the Russians. Absolutely. The third thing is justice. And we've talked about justice here today, and we've talked about how important it is to hold all Russians who are responsible for war crimes accountable. Absolutely. But there's no court that can now hold Vladimir Putin responsible for the crime of aggression. There's no court that can do that. We need to establish a court.
and that needs to start in the UN. And once that court is established, an international tribunal that can take Putin to court. So those three, that will be hard. That'll take determination. That'll take will. President Zelensky and the Ukrainians have shown us that there is the will. There's the will to win. So we will be with you as long as it takes for you to win, and we will be there to do the hard things for the fires, the long-range fires, for the reparations, and for the justice. Slava Ukraini!
Bank funds. All the other assets.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for standing with us in support of Ukraine. Thank you, Ambassador Taylor. Thank you. Dear friends of Ukraine, I would like to present Mr. Morgan Williams, President and CEO of the U.S.-Ukraine Business Council. We want to thank Morgan Williams for his strong leadership through many years in promoting development of U.S.-Ukraine economic relations, protecting business community interests, and supporting various projects for developing U.S.-Ukraine bilateral relations. Mr. Williams, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much. As she said, I'm the president of the U.S.-Ukraine Business Council. The U.S. Business Council represents hundreds of U.S. businesses that are invested and work in Ukraine. These businesses are in Ukraine for almost 30 years. They're not going anywhere. They stayed through the Orange Revolution. They stayed through the Revolution of Dignity, and they're staying now. U.S. businesses have become Ukrainian businesses. They've invested hundreds of millions. They employ tens of thousands of people. They've kept their businesses over there. They're running them now. They've protected the tens of thousands of Ukrainian employees that they have. They are doing everything to support Ukraine now in this war. You have to have the business community. You have to have income. You have to have jobs. You have to have economic development. And that's the U.S.-Ukraine business community. And the U.S. business community, not as somebody said here, is going to be brought back. They've never left. They've stayed in Ukraine. And they only have two purposes for their work in Ukraine in 2023. Number one, they want to work with the Ukraine government and everybody else. Throw Putin out now. Throw Putin out now. Throw Putin out now. They also want to rebuild Ukraine now. Rebuild Ukraine now. Rebuild Ukraine now. So the U.S. business community is doing everything they can to throw Putin out and to rebuild Ukraine. They've planned to invest a lot more money in Ukraine. You can't have a strong Ukraine without a business community. Ukraine needs economic development. They need jobs. They need investments. And as I said, they're protecting their employees. They're paying all their employees. They have contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to humanitarian efforts. Every one of them has their own humanitarian program. They're supporting families. They're supporting all their employees. So they're doing everything that businesses should be able to do to continue business, but to support their employees during this time of war. Ukraine needs private business, and these businesses need Ukraine. They all, again, want to get rid of Mr. Putin. He is the essence of evil. He actually is evil, and he's against the European Union, and he's against the United States, and he's against a free democratic world. So, again, the main theme, throw out Putin, throw out evil, throw out this murderer, throw out this killer. Putin is not Ukrainian. Putin is not needed in Ukraine. Putin needs to get out of Ukraine. We don't want him in Ukraine. Never wanted him in Ukraine. And so to rebuild Ukraine, we must get rid of Putin. And then as Ambassador Taylor said, we want to thank him for all of his work on behalf of Ukraine. And again, it reminds me to thank the ambassador. The business community is sure that the ambassador was the right person at the right time, at the right place. Let's give her a big hand again, the ambassador. So the next big job is to rebuild Ukraine. And who's going to be able to Ukraine? It's not going to be in the long run the government or international agencies. It's going to be the private business community. It's going to be the private business community that builds Ukraine, that brings in hundreds of billions, that brings in new technology, that brings in advanced employees to Ukraine. So it's going to be the private business that's going to build Ukraine. It's going to take a long time. Everybody's got to work together. We need to bring about 50 or 60, 70,000 Ukrainians back from Europe, back to work in Ukraine. We need them. We're going to have to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars of supply. So Ukraine's going to have to modernize. They're going to have to change a lot of their policies toward give business. But Ukraine will be rebuilt, and it will be rebuilt by this community. So let's throw out Putin now. Let's rebuild Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Mr. Morgan Williams for his tireless work in support of Ukraine. I would like to introduce Mark Odon, Chair of the Board of Directors, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We want to thank Mr. Odon, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and its members for supporting Ukraine. Its valuable role in developing U.S.-Ukrainian business relations and the promising future mechanisms for developing bilateral dialogue on which we currently work together. Mr. Odon, thank you for coming today.
Well, first, Madam Ambassador, thank you for making us feel warm on a chilly day. It's an honor for me to represent the U.S. Chamber and American business to reaffirm our solidarity with the people of Ukraine. We're not connected to this by birth or blood, but absolutely by choice. The Chamber is the world's largest business organization, representing the interests of millions of companies. We have a network of 1,500 state and local chambers and 130 American chambers of commerce around the world. We have rallied support for businesses to get involved and to give back to help support Ukraine, and so far that effort has resulted in humanitarian gifts of over $1 billion. That's aid providing food, shelter, and clean water for people affected by this horrific act of war. We're also launching the Ukraine Business Initiative to facilitate involvement of all businesses in helping rebuild Ukraine. In the coming months, we will convene a U.S.-Ukraine Business Initiative launched here in our headquarters in Washington, D.C. that will be an enormous effort and undertaking for a multi-year engagement to help rebuild Ukraine. This will, as others have noted, depend on significant financial investment from the private sector. And with that in mind, in partnership with the U.S. government, the Chamber will convene a partnership forum this spring here in D.C. We will be bringing together key business executives, government officials, and other thought leaders from the U.S. and Ukraine to explore the best ways to serve and support Ukrainian people as they recover and rebuild. It is an absolute honor for us that the U.S. Chamber, representing all of the businesses and all of the people around the world who want to see Ukraine thrive and succeed. Long thrive, Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Round of applause. I'd like to present a newly formed vocal group in Washington, D.C. area, U Generation. Please welcome U Generation.
Туалет, де сховаються в туалеті. Там туалет. І там була туалет. Я б до перегляду сунув.
Look ahead.
Ой, там на горі, ой, там на круті, 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 ой, на горі на круті, там сиділа пара, сизими, крильми обіймала. Ой, на горі на круті, ой, на горі на круті, де взявся сокіл за високий гір. Там у тополі в полі, на волі, там у тополі в полі, там у тополі в полі, на волі, там у тополі в полі. Козацькому роду нема переводу, нема рівні козакам, що йдуть за свободу. Козацькому роду нема переводу, нема рівні козакам, що йдуть за свободу. Козацькому роду нема переводу, нема рівні козакам, що йдуть за свободу. Козацькому роду нема переводу, нема рівні ЗСУ, що йдуть за свободу. Слава Україні! Україна! Україна! Round of applause for U Generation! Woo! And as we close our program today, I would like to thank you all for coming together, for showing your support of all our organizations as we continue to provide critical aid to those fighting this unjust war. Thank you for showing the world that we are united and will not be divided in our unwavering support of Ukraine. And I would like to bring on stage our wounded warrior who has sacrificed so much in order to fight for Ukraine, its freedom, its democracy. Please welcome Alexei Marov. from 28th Brigade. He received his wound in Kherson. Alexei, from all of us here, round of applause to Alexei. Дякуємо! 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 Alexei, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your service. And thank you to all brave Ukrainian men and women who are still in the front lines defending Ukraine. Thank you all for coming together today here in Washington, D.C., across all 50 states, and in so many countries around the world, together with people in every single oblast of Ukraine. Razom. Thank you, and let's keep doing our work together. Slava! Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Democracy will win! Freedom will win! The bravery of our people, Ukrainian and American, will always overcome fear. Any tyranny will always fail when we stand firm against it, together. Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Dear friends, dear supporters of Ukraine, we will have a march in support of Ukraine, the march against Russia's war against Ukraine. We will gather right here from this side of the reflecting pool, and we will go to the 17th Street and north, the 17th Street northwest. Then we will take a right to the Pennsylvania Avenue. We will march by the White House with the messages, thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. And then we will take left to the 16th Street and left to the H Street. And we will go, left to the 15th Street and then H Street. And then we will go to the residence of the Russian ambassador. Please join our march. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Thank you so much for supporting Ukraine. Thank you. Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Україна! Слава нації! Слава нації! I would like to give microphone to Irina. Quick announcement about the buses that are going to Philadelphia. Thank you all for coming. The march is getting settled right there. So please join the march. And Irina, quick announcement.
Окей, друзі, давайте піднімемо всі наші прапори, помахаємо, щоб нас почув Вашингтон. Зверху і ось там на сходах. Прапори вгору! Прапори вгору! Давайте помахаємо всі прапорами, погріємося і шикуємося по ліву сторону. Всі, хто є з Філадельфії, йдемо зараз маршом до резиденції російського посла, де нас будуть чекати наші автобуси. Тобто ще раз, всі, хто прибув з Філадельфії, але автобусом, ваші автобуси пізнали вас у російського посла. Слава Україні! Слава! Окрема подяка нашій кредитівці, тому що вони є спонсором. Дякуємо вам! We will have a couple of more songs to perform. Thank you again all for coming. We have a
only let him cry. I told my mom.
На Україні 40.
So 8 a.m. tomorrow, then 3 days back. Actually, we're just collecting money.
Can I borrow the sign really quick?
Помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи, Господи, помилуй нас. В наших грудях кулі і ножі, нас розп'ято, знищено не раз. Боже,
Ідем, пішли!
Поволіше, поволіше!
Чекайте, чекайте.
Боже, ми дякуємо Твоє те, що йдеш попереду нас, попереду непереможного українського народу. Наші душі не діють вежі, але промінь віри не погас. Боже, Україну збережи.
Надю, можемо йти?
Ми з Надією попереду, їй потрібен мегафон, і вона казала, що ти там колонку щось залишив.
Слава Україні!
Слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Я зараз з Надією, але ти можеш сказати, що тільки все.
Не, мне не надо.
Ладно, давай. Алло, як чути? Раз. Все, чудово. Ми з Надією, у Наді є свій телефон, ми будемо зараз.
Начало колонны скажи.
Славку маєш кому дати на прапор? Він нас розшукав такого. Дякую. Волонтер.
I know, it's such a loss of
Putin lies while Russians die.
Слава!
Героям слава! Героям слава!
Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава! Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine! 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 Ukraine will win! Слава нації! Смерть ворогам! Слава нації! Слава нації! Україна! 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 Путін! Хуйло! Путін! Хуйло! Путін!
Хуйло!
Русский военный корабль!
Збройні сили України.
О! Польські хоче, пам'ятаєш, мама включила ТСН. Коли наче стало.
So
the mission which is going to help is it's a fun. That's the thing. What's weird is that we're going to the Norwegian Parliament yesterday. Do it again. Hold on my pocket.
Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Ukraine will win. Ukraine will win. Ukraine will win. Ukraine will win. Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. 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 Thank you, USA, for standing with 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 Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine.
Ukraine will win.
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 Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Ukraine will win!
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 Russia is a terrorist state!
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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Ukraine will win!
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 Glory to Ukraine! Glory to heroes!
Glory to Ukraine! Glory to our heroes!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Russia is a terrorist state!
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 Declare Russia a terrorist state!
Declare Russia a terrorist state! Declare Russia a terrorist state! Declare Russia a terrorist state! Declare Russia a terrorist state! Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Wow! Слава Збройним силам України! Слава! 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 Слава Збройним силам України! Слава! Слава! Путін! Хто і так понятно? Щоб його не згадувати, що підарас. Героям слава! Я дуже так дивлюся, багато... Героям слава!
is a terrorist state.
Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
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 Thank you, USA, for standing with 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 Ukraine.
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with 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 Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Ukraine will win.
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 Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Russia
Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state.
Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine.
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 Ukraine will win.
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 Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, USA for standing with Ukraine.
Ukraine will win.
Ukraine will win.
Ukraine will win.
Ukraine will win.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Героям слава! Понад усе! Понад усе! Russia is a terrorist state. Declare Russia a terrorist state.
Save the world.
Ukraine will win.
Ukraine will win.
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine.
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 Thank you USA for standing with 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 Ukraine.
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state.
Ukraine will win.
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 Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Чогось наш
червону калину підіймемо, а ми далі саме Україну, та й розвеселимо.
Ukraine will win. 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 Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state. Ukraine will win. 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 Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе! Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. 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 Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! We stand with Ukraine! 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 Supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with 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 Ukraine. Ukraine will win. 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 Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes! Слава Україні! Героям слава! 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 Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA for supporting Ukraine. A terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Declare Russia 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 a
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you USA for standing with Ukraine.
Thank you USA for standing with Ukraine. Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine. Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine.
Що там на нас?
Thank you USA for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state.
Okay.
Declare Russia a terrorist state. Declare Russia a terrorist state. Declare Russia a terrorist state.
You're good. Yeah. How many times have you done that? Come with me. I'm good. All right. Thanks. There it is.
Thank you, USA,
Thank you, USA,
for supporting Ukraine.
for supporting Ukraine.
Ти будеш йти нормально.
Ручна робота.
Слава ЗСУ! Героям слава!
I sent him a photo on like groups of my friends, so.
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації! Смерть ворогам! Слава нації! Смерть ворогам! Слава нації! Україна!
7, 8.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, no, I said
Oh no, you like,
Алло. Все, Ань,
like I'm not kidding. It's so wild. Like.
Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Ukraine will win. Ukraine will win. Ukraine will win. Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава!
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 I don't have the fix.
Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Russia is a terrorist state.
Declare Russia a terrorist state.
Declare Russia a terrorist state.
Declare Russia a terrorist state.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine.
Thank you, USA, for standing with 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 Ukraine.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist Ukraine will win.
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 Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Russia is a terrorist state. Declare Russia 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 a terrorist state. Thank you, USA, for supporting Ukraine. 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 Punish Russia now! 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 Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Russia is a terrorist state! Russia is a terrorist state! Russia is a terrorist state! Russia's war crimes will be punished! 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 Russia is a terrorist state! 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 Get out of Ukraine! Get out of Ukraine! Get out of Ukraine! Get out of Ukraine! Stop your genocide in 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 Ukraine! Stop your war in Ukraine! Stop your war in Ukraine! Russia is a terrorist state! 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 Russia's war crimes will be punished! 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 Ukraine will win! 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 Stop your genocide in Ukraine! 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 Stop. Shame on Russia! 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 Stop the genocide in Ukraine! Stop the genocide in Ukraine! Stop the genocide in Ukraine! Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell!
Can you hear me now? We are standing by the residence of the Russian ambassador. And as you know that Ukraine has been facing the full-scale invasion for the whole year since February the 24th last year. And what we have seen so far are genocide and war crimes conducted by the Russian Federation against Ukraine, Ukrainian people and Ukrainian nation.
Russia, go home!
Yes, of course, because
Russia, go home!
As you know, Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia, go home!
It's difficult to speak with terrorists because they don't understand the language of civilian people, of democratic vote. They don't understand it.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Yes, thank you. Yeah. We're so glad that there are so many supporters of Ukraine. And
we will never forget your crimes!
And we will continue our support.
We will never forget your crimes!
And Ukraine will win eventually.
We will never forget your crimes!
Thank you.
Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло! Putin, хуйло!
Can you just tell us your name and spell it?
Putin, хуйло!
Okay, Nadia, do you need
Russia's war crimes will be punished!
Okay. Yes, sure.
Russia's war crimes will
I'm
be
Nadia
punished!
Shaparinska, Nadiya. Last name Shaparinska, Shaporynska.
And your title? You are...
I'm the president of the non-profit organization US Ukrainian Activists.
Stop your genocide in Ukraine!
Stop your genocide in Ukraine!
Stop your genocide in Ukraine!
Stop your war crimes in Ukraine!
Stop your war crimes in Ukraine!
Що ми браття козацького роду. Смерть ворогам! Понад усе! Понад усе!
Я вийшов казку зробити, знаєш?
Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win!
terrorist state.
Stop your genocide in Ukraine! Stop your genocide in Ukraine! Stop your genocide! Stop your genocide!
You know, water balloon launches would be so much fun.
I would be arrested.
Stop the war in Ukraine!
Get the hell out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine! Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Get out of Ukraine!
Stop killing innocent civilians!
War criminals go straight to hell!
Stop killing innocent civilians!
Stop killing Ukrainian children!
Stop killing Ukrainian children!
Stop killing Ukrainian women!
Stop raping Ukrainians!
Stop raping Ukrainians! Stop your genocide in Ukraine! Stop your genocide in Ukraine! Stop your war in Ukraine! Stop your war in Ukraine! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Ukraine will win! Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава! Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають!
genocide in Ukraine! Stop your war 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 in Ukraine!
Stop your genocide 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 in Ukraine! За нахуй!
Putin! 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 Russia burn in hell!
Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell! Russia burn in hell!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. Чоловік, ну кривавий цар, визволяти нашу Україну, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Путін! Путін! Путін!
Хуйло!
Хуйло!
Хуйло! Хуйло! Хуйло! Хуйло! Хуйло! Хуйло! України і слава ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля, згинуть наші вороженьки, як роза на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй
Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають!
Смерть ворогам! Смерть ворогам! Героям слава!
Понад усе! Понад усе! Понад усе!
For picture they say do not smile. Okay, no smile. Okay, everyone is smiling in the picture.
Don't smile.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Today is 367th day of the full-scale invasion, which the Russian Federation launched on February the 24th last year. We have seen so many cases of Russia's war crimes in Ukraine and Russia's genocide against Ukraine, Ukrainian people and Ukrainian nation, as well as Ukrainian culture. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. During the whole year, Russia continued raining missiles over Ukrainian cities, towns and villages, killing many innocent Ukrainian women, children and men. Russia's war crimes will be punished. Russia's war crimes will be punished. Stop your genocide in Ukraine. Stop your war in Ukraine. Get out of Ukraine. Get out of Ukraine. Get out of Ukraine. Get out of Ukraine. Stop your genocide in Ukraine. Stop killing innocent Ukrainian children, women and men. Russia, stop your war machine in Ukraine. Stop your war machine in Ukraine. Stop your war machine in Ukraine. Stop your genocide in Ukraine. Stop your genocide in Ukraine. Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава нації! Слава нації! Україна! 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 We are very thankful to Irina Mazur, the honorary consulate, who has been supporting Ukraine so actively all these years, during the last 9 years, since Russia started, when Russia started its invasion of Ukraine, after it annexed Ukrainian Crimea. Irina Mazur.
Слава Україні, українці! Я хочу бачити всі прапори в небі! Нехай наші вбивці побачать ці прапори, і я хочу, щоб вони чули нашу мову зараз. Мову, яку вони забороняли понад 140 разів. Україні! Прапори вгору! Україна! 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 Я хочу сказати всім російським дипломатам і їхньому послу, що ми ніколи не зупинимось. Ви не могли вбити нас 300 років тому, ви не могли вбити нас голодоморами, ви не могли вбити нас 9 років на Майдані, бо герої не вмирають, і ви не вб'єте нас зараз. Але я вам дам пораду. Не повертайтесь в Росію, бо там вас напоять чайком. Залишайтесь в Америці, здавайтеся, і, можливо, вам навіть тут дадуть притулок. Це моя вам порада. Тому що повертатись вам нема куди. Ваші руки в крові. Mr. Ambassador, you keep lying on behalf of Putin and on behalf of Russia. Give up and surrender. Shame on you. Shame on you, Russia. Shame on you! 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 Surrender! Surrender now! Surrender now! Surrender now! Surrender now! Surrender now! Ukraine is already winning! Slava ЗСУ! Слава ЗСУ, прапори вгору! Слава ЗСУ, прапори вгору! Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають! Герої не вмирають! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Прапори вгору! Слава Україні! Слава нації! Слава нації! Слава нації! Ми ніколи не забудемо і не пробачимо! Ніколи! 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 А ви, вбивці, будете горіти в пеклі! Вбивці! 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 You will burn in hell! You will burn in hell! You will burn in hell! Russia will burn in hell! Your ambassador will burn in hell! Mr. Ambassador, you have blood of innocent Ukrainian children killed by Russia's missiles on your hands because you are representing Putin. You are murderers. You are rapists. You do not have heart, and we will never forgive you all the war crimes that you committed in Ukraine. Never! Remember, Ukraine was, Ukraine is, and Ukraine always will be. Україна була, є і буде завжди. Прапори вгору! Україна! 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 And remember, Crimea is Ukraine! 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 Що в нас були і є, і будуть герої. Тому
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Понад усе! Понад усе! Героям слава! Героям слава! Героям слава!
А тепер всі разом ми співаємо українську повстанську пісню. Ой, у лузі червона калина. Нехай вони чують
Героям слава! Слава Україні!
I'll walk that way, then I'm going to cut that way, because I'm more fine to stay. Давай, поднимай.
Sorry.
Камеру забили. Not that like.
Hey, are you on the hill and all this next week? A little bit. No, not last week. One of the hardest working camera, serious. You are seriously one of like the hardest working. I just think so. Like, I'm just the oldest hard working. You took that, didn't you? That's all. Anyway, look at wisdom like
Телефон. Okay. Go to that. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, let's do George X County Courthouse again. That was cool.
We're going from the both sides, so we're okay.
Let's try to keep at least straight. That way we don't have like the
Almost done. Thank you.
I don't know if that's a middle name or if that's like a nickname.
I can park. I'll park on these top cars.
Sons have weird names too.